So you've decided to study history. It's a good choice because history is about people and people are interesting. Also, for the study of history, no particular skills are required. In languages, music and maths and some science, particular skills are required, but in history, if you can read and write, you can be an effective student of history. Now, I'm going to start by making some general comments and then move on to more specific, particular points. The key to your success as a student is not brilliance, it's just steady, plodding work. Week by week, that's how you build up a corpus of knowledge and refine the skills that will enable you to do really well when you're assessed in your exams or your coursework. With study skills, which we're talking about today, there are no skills that you have to have or you have to follow. The skills that matter are the skills that are right for you. But having said that, it's not a good idea just to stick with your particular procedures. Now that you're starting a new level of work, you should be circumspect, look at your methods, try new methods, and find if you can find better methods than you had before. The sort of student that I often feel sorry for is the one speed, one method student who carry on, head down, working unnecessarily hard and never thinking about how they should go about their work. But I must stress that what I'm going to say are not prescriptions, they're suggestions. They're things you could think about and reflect and try, and the ones that you find helpful, then you can develop. So I'll start with something which is very basic, reading. The trouble with reading is, it's one of the essential study skills for history that you've been doing as long as you can remember. It's one of the first things you learned at primary school. And it's really easy to set into a pattern. But there's more to reading than just being in front of a book. One should read in different ways according to the purpose of reading. And there are lots of purposes of reading. There are lots of purposes of reading, even reading history books. But in general, if you think about it, you don't read a journal or a newspaper in the same way as you read a textbook. And even when it comes to textbooks, depending on the purpose of your reading, so you should read in a different way. The first thing to think about is, what do you want from a book? Now, usually when you start a new unit study, you should start from the general, short overviews, and then move on to the particular. So you would read a general account quickly and absorb the overall perspective of the topic. And once you've done that, then you can look at more detailed studies and read those more carefully. And you'll see that in a moment I'll tie this in with making notes. One other thing I should say about reading is the really good students are students that aren't satisfied with the books that their teacher or tutor give them, but go out and search for additional sources. When I studied for my education diploma, I used to think that the very best books for topics were purposely withdrawn by the tutors in order to see whether we were adventurous in seeking out good sources. Well, that might have just been student thought. But to find your own sources and sources that are right for you is a really good principle, because depending on where you are in your study, some books will be far more helpful than others, and only you know how far on you are with your study and what sort of student you are. But the general principle, as I mentioned before, is you always start with short general accounts, so you gain some perspective of the topic before you go into the detailed ones. Obviously, if you go plunge straight into the detailed ones, you become lost in a mass of information that you can't put in any sort of structure or any sort of chronology.